Good morning, everybody, and thank you for taking the time to come over to the patient pavilion this morning. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the first patient story session this morning. My name is Richard Reynolds. I work for Olympus, and I'm the president of the medical business for the Americas. And the session title for the first session today is How a CEO turned cancer survivor convinced Ryan Reynolds, my cousin, to get a colonoscopy. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce our first patient story and Brooks Bell. Brooks is an early onset cancer survivor who was diagnosed at the age of 38. Following her successful treatment, Brooks decided to make some big changes in her life. She stepped down as CEO of the company she founded and embarked on a new mission to rebrand colon cancer. Today, she works to destigmatize colon cancer and to make sure people are aware of this disease and the screening recommendations. Brooks has partnered with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance to establish Lead from Behind. This is the initiative through which Ryan Reynolds, my cousin, and Rob McElhenney famously broadcast their first screening colonoscopies at the age of 45. Now, 45 is the age for colon cancer screening for those at average risk of developing the disease as recommended by the US Preventative Services Task Force. So that's the background, and let me begin by asking Brooks. Brooks, you have an amazing story. Can you walk us through your journey over the past 5 years?
Sure, thank you, Richard. So my name is Brooks Bell. I was the founder and CEO of Brooks Bell, Inc. I started it when I was 23, and we ran A/B tests for large organizations. I had lots of analysts and designers working for me, and we generated a couple $1 billion of value for our clients over the next 16 years. And I was a busy CEO, running around, traveling, often at conferences just like this one. And one day I was at a conference and I went to the bathroom in the morning and I looked down and saw that I had blood in my stool. And so I did not have time for this, was pretty freaked out about it, and I called a telehealth doctor from the hotel room that morning, and she said, "Oh, it's fine, you're good, it's probably just a hemorrhoid. You're just 38, so that's probably what's going on. We all get a hemorrhoid at some point." So I was relieved and went on with my day. But the problem was that the blood kept showing up every couple of days, and now I was paying attention, and I decided to see another doctor when I went home to actually get examined, and she came to the same conclusion, even though she said it was a hemorrhoid, but she didn't actually find a hemorrhoid. And that actually was concerning. And so I thought, I really need a colonoscopy. She didn't offer it to me. I had to actually cold call a gastroenterologist to request one. And so I met with them, and they said, "You're right. You need a colonoscopy. 38 years old is not too young for colon cancer these days. And 2 months of bleeding is too long. That's not normal." And so we scheduled a colonoscopy 4 days later, and I woke up, and sure enough, the cause of the bleeding was a tumor in my sigmoid colon, and I found out later that it was stage 3A. I was very lucky. I was unlucky that it was already stage 3, but lucky in that it still had really excellent chances of survival. I had about an 87% chance of survival because it hadn't gone very deep into my colon wall. And had it gone a millimeter deeper into my colon wall, my odds of survival would have dropped 10 points. So I caught it just in time when things were still reasonably survivable. So that was, I was blown away that this had happened, and I decided to step down from my company and ask my next in command to take over while I focus on my treatment. I went on and had surgery to remove 10 inches of my colon and 3 months of high-dose chemotherapy. And fortunately, I finished and was cancer-free and have been cancer-free for about 5 years.
Thank you. Clearly motivated, despite being told you were okay, to go and find out more about what was causing this, because you had that instinctive concern, which is commendable. But on the journey that you've taken, what have you learned? What's more that you've discovered yourself about colon cancer that ordinarily you probably wouldn't have given any thought to?
What I learned, of course, because my background was in data, I dove into all of the publications. I learned how to Google like the actual medical terms, and ended up on the PubMed for months, trying to look up every question I had about colon cancer, about treatment, but then about colonoscopies and polyps, and I had so many questions of like, A, how did I get this? And why can't everyone get a colonoscopy if they want it? Why are young people getting it? Why do African Americans get it at a higher rate? Why are they so expensive? I mean, why aren't they covered by insurance? I mean, all these things. And what I learned was that colon cancer is a huge disease. Like, it is the third most common cancer, for men and women. It wasn't on my radar as a top cancer. Like, people don't talk about colon cancer outside of the medical industry because of stigma. It's more surprisingly, it is deadly. It kills more people than breast cancer each year or prostate cancer. The only cancer that kills more is lung cancer. So colon cancer is one of the most deadly cancers out there, and it's skyrocketing in young people. It's gone up 50% in people under the screening age in the last 30 years, and it's predicted to go up another 90% in people under the age of 35 in the next 10 years. So it's accelerating with young people, has a huge disparity in the Black community, and it is preventable. Like, most cancers are not preventable, like breast cancer and prostate cancer. Can't really prevent it outside of just having a clean lifestyle, but colon cancer is, and that's a colonoscopy. So I think I'm getting ahead of myself, but I learned like some really stunning things about what a big market this is and how no one knows about it. Oh, one more stat, that colon cancer as a disease raises less than $20 million a year in private philanthropy. So it is dramatically underfunded from an awareness perspective, and it reinforces the stigma and the lack of knowledge that this is even like a big thing we should be paying attention to.
So I think it's clear from just listening to you that you consider yourself a colonoscopy enthusiast, and I've heard you say that you've got a love for colonoscopy. These are interesting words to use. We can probably pick up on that a little bit in what you're talking about, but explain a little bit more about, that's an unusual thing to say, clearly a focus for you personally. Why are you so passionate about it? When
I learned that it is one of the only, that it prevents cancer, and when I learned that most cancer is not preventable, but this one is, and it's a big one, and that it's preventable through an actual procedure. Like, you can still eat all your red meat if you want to. You can smoke. You can do all of the sinful things as long as you get a colonoscopy. And it's almost like a baptism where it relieves all your sins by snipping out your polyps. I mean, it's almost like a COVID vaccine. It's just this powerful thing that prevents you from getting a top cancer, and that no one knows about it. So I think it completely reframes when we talk about colonoscopies. And also, it's not that bad. There's so much fear. But if we start to think about it as a fast, a cleanse, a nap, it sounds like a much more of a wellness-oriented procedure. We don't need to be talking about it's invasive. Like, the words we use, like invasive, scary, unsafe, those aren't helpful at all. It's actually not that way. It's a lovely experience, really. I mean, it's getting better. The prep can be a little bit better, but that's also improving every day. And so if we start to think about this as an amazing, life-saving, and not that big of a deal procedure that is also covered by insurance, I think we could dramatically change the course of people's lives. And the last thing is that it only takes 16 colonoscopies to prevent a case of colon cancer. So that can be done in like a day and a half by a good GI doctor. And it shows you how powerful this is at a societal level. The more colonoscopies we get done, the more people get to avoid going through the experience that I went through.
Wonderful. So given everything that you've experienced, how has this inspired you to help others and to educate others?
When I was finishing up my treatment and thinking all about this, I just thought, like, this is such a huge market. There aren't leaders in this space, that have broken through. We have a marketing problem, which is absolutely fixable, and it's a small industry. There's not that many. This is sort of the people in the industry. Many of them are here. It's small. Doctors would answer the phone when I would call, like key opinion leaders. I was just thinking, you just need to step up and do something. And I thought, if I spend, 10 years trying to get people to get colonoscopies, I will move the needle. And I set a goal of inspiring 1 million colonoscopies over the next 10 years to focus my brain, to focus on increasing the demand for colonoscopies. And then I joined the board of the Colorectal Cancer Alliance and started an initiative with them called Lead from Behind, and funded it, and was the founder. And we then partnered with Maximum Effort, Ryan Reynolds' kind of personal agency, and brought the problem to them, all the stats I just shared with you, and said, how can we change this? What can we do? And so they helped us set up Lead from Behind, and they said, okay, we've talked to Ryan, and he wants to participate. He's turning 45. He thinks it'll be funny. He'll get a colonoscopy. And he did, and found a polyp, and created this amazing video and put it out there with his friend Rob McElhaney, and we got 16 million views the first week that it was live. You can actually, if you want to see this video, just go to YouTube and put in Ryan Reynolds colonoscopy, and it'll come up. We got 16 million views globally, and then we saw that a third-party stat came out that colonoscopy appointments had increased by 36% nationwide in the months afterwards. And we think that since it only takes 16 colonoscopies to prevent a case of cancer, 16 million colonoscopies, let's say 1 in 1,000, saw the video and inspired a colonoscopy, that would be over 16,000 colonoscopies, and that would be 1,000 cases that were prevented. And so it was so awesome to see him do that. And actually what I'm doing now is I'm starting another company on my own now called World Class Inc., but it'll have an emphasis on ass. And it's going to be an apparel company really targeting, for other people who want to wear, very bold shirts like this, but then also people who want to just wear the word world class. And we'll raise money for a colonoscopy fund that will increase accessibility for underinsured and uninsured people who are having a hard time getting a colonoscopy.
Fantastic. And if anybody wants to learn a little bit more about Lead from Behind or World Class, how would they do that? How could they get involved? Where would they go and find that information?
You can go to leadfrombehind.org today. World Class is just getting started. I'm actually here in LA to meet with my co-founders for the first time in person. There are 2 other colon cancer survivors, and so we're doing this together. We're talking with manufacturers in LA and that kind of thing this week. So there's no website yet, but write it down, maybe in 6 months, you can go to worldclassclothing.com, and there should be something there.
Brooks, thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking the time to come and tell us your story and to emphasize the importance of something that truly is preventable. We appreciate your time and we wish you all the luck going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.